Okay, the movie this week is called A Quiet Place, and it's a horror film with a fantastic premise. In fact, it's an ingenious premise. The idea is if you make a sound, it will kill you. Here's the setup. We're in a kind of a post-apocalyptic world. Most of mankind has been wiped out. We don't know how or why, but all we do know is that we have one family of 5, a mom, a dad, 3 kids, and they're walking around their world and their home without trying to make a sound. Because if you make a sound, what's going to happen? Some kind of ill-defined monster alien is going to come swimming by and kill you. It just immediately just smash you to smithereens. So the entire movie's premise is, how do you live a life, especially family life, without making a sound? So one of the things the family does, and by the way, the family consists of John Krasinski, who's the writer, director, and co-star of the film. He's the guy, he's Jim in The Office, if you're wondering. He happens to be in real life married to Emily Blunt. In this movie, he's married to Emily Blunt as well. Emily Blunt plays the mom, and then they have 3 kids. And the way they live their life without trying to make a sound is primarily communicating with sign language. So they signal everything so they don't have to speak, or they talk occasionally in hush whispers. But they have to figure out a way to get through life without making a sound if they want to continue to live. Imagine trying to raise a family in that sort of circumstance. For instance, they play Monopoly, but they don't play Monopoly like we play Monopoly. They play Monopoly with felt pieces, so it doesn't make any kind of sound. They come up with all these elaborate ways. How do you walk through the house without creaking things? Well, they put down they're like sand spots where you walk on the sand so it cushions the blow and it muffles the sound. They have to live their entire life this way. It's incredibly stressful. And any time that anything does happen and they make a little sound, they have to wait and see if it was picked up by the monsters or not. And horrific things can happen or horrific things can't happen, but it's all about the suspense. So you take this incredible premise and then you decide to ratchet up, the circumstances. So for instance, there's a scene that Emily Blunt is bringing up the laundry from the basement, and she has the bag kind of gets stuck on something, and what she does, she finally pulls up the bag, and what does that do? It loosens a nail, and so now you have a nail sticking straight up out of a step, and everybody walks around barefoot. That's one of the keys to being quiet. And so through the entire movie, you're waiting for someone to go downstairs and step on that nail, and then what's going to happen? Can they scream or not? It's that kind of movie where you're just tense the entire time. It's very suspenseful. Or it turns out Emily Blunt is pregnant. Then the prospect of, can she give birth without making a sound? How are you going to cope with that? Or if a baby does arrive, how are you going to keep that baby? How can you stifle the baby's cries without killing the baby? There are all these things. One of the 3 kids is deaf. That means that she cannot tell. If she makes a sound, she won't hear it. So her father's spending all this time trying to make a hearing aid that will kind of clue her in on how they make sound. This movie is 90 minutes. It's taut, it's nerve-wracking. At times, I've got to say, some of the setups are a little hard to believe, but just in terms of playing with the device of the premise, it does a really good job of kind of finding out ways to test the premise. That's let me say, the better thing to say about this is you get a premise and then they want to test the premise. Okay, if this happened, how are you going to handle it? If this happens, how are you going to handle it? And they do a good job. A lot of the movie's appeal is in the ingenuity of the way they live their lives in order to escape devastation. But primarily, it's a suspenseful movie. They throw some family dynamics in there. The daughter feels unloved. The son feels like he can't live up to his father's expectations. It maybe deepens the human dimension a bit, but that's all secondary. This is really about the terror and the suspense of being quiet or your life, while your life depends on it. It ends up being a very stylish horror movie. I think it's going to be a classic as the years go by for just kind of the tension of living life under such impossible means and doing a dang good job at it.
All of my movie reviews are brought to you by Red Wind Casino. See them here first on the KIRO Radio Facebook page and find all of them at mynorthwest.com.